Welcome everybody to the second episode of Longform. I bet you didn't think you'd see the second episode. For all the haters out there that thought the first episode was crap, well, guess what? You're stuck with us for another hour or maybe two. Who knows? So, back by popular demand, Ashley. We got Ashley again.
Hello.
Everyone else is too shy to come on the podcast, but Ashley, we love having Ashley. Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot again.
Oh no.
Because this is your topic. People must think I have just no ideas whatsoever. But yeah, we were actually kind of struggling for ideas. So you saw something interesting on the interwebs yesterday, brought it to my attention. Can you introduce it?
Okay. So the video was a bit intense. It was a very strongly opinionated video. But essentially it's what is the impact of social media on the way that we perceive body image, and is there a difference between genders?
You went into more detail than I did, but so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the video for everyone who's watching the video. They can watch it. For those that are listening on Spotify, yes, we are on Spotify. Officially, we're on Spotify. So, yeah, if you can't be bothered looking at our mugs, then feel free to just listen to our voices instead. Okay, so let's play this video and hopefully this works.
Here's your reminder that you don't need a flat stomach to rock low-rise jeans. You don't. But I'm hot, sexy, beautiful.
Right, I'm going to be a real dick here and just say this for all the dudes out there. Ladies, I know you have your own examples of these unrealistic body expectations, etc., etc. And body positivity can be a good thing. If you're born without a fucking foot and people make fun of you because that's not cool. But I feel like the body positivity movement is an excuse for ladies and some men to just be lazy and just be fat. I'm sorry. It's not nice, but it's relatively true. But also I'll say this. Ladies, before the next time you go, oh, listen, women don't, we can't live up to these unrealistic body expectations of all these models and shit. Have you ever seen some of the dudes that are in movies? Like Chris Hemsworth, for example. Fucking jacked. Aquaman, jacked. All these superheroes, jacked. And that's what dudes are supposed to look like?
Okay, I don't know. Actually, you probably didn't hear that, right? Okay, so I just played about a minute of it, and that video is from Isaac Butterfield. I think he's an Australian comedian, YouTube influencer, social commentator, whatever. But yeah, he essentially said that he feels that body positivity movement is an excuse for people to just be lazy, right?
Yeah.
So again, I did a bit of research, right? As you do. And do you want to know where it started from and how this trend all happened?
Yes.
Okay, let me enlighten you on the brief history of body positivity. Okay, it has its roots in the fat acceptance movements of the late 1960s. The National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance was first established in 1969. Continues to work to change how people talk about weight. The term body positive emerged in 1996 when a psychotherapist and an individual who had been through treatment for an eating disorder founded the website thebodypositive.org. The current movement began to emerge around 2012, initially focusing on challenging unrealistic feminine beauty standards. As the movement grew in popularity, the original focus on acceptance of weight began to shift towards a message that all bodies are beautiful. Right.
Aww.
So, do we agree, or are we triggered by Mr. Butterfield's little rant there?
He's a lot to process, I'm not gonna lie.
He's intense. He's intense.
He is very intense. And he feels things very deeply.
Yes.
But I don't know. It's like, if he wasn't so intense about it, maybe I would be listening. But I feel like I just didn't absorb any of his point because of how he said it.
So you're more focused on his energy and his emotive response to this this thing that's meant to be positive, right? Body positivity. but can you see where he's coming from in the sense that he's saying, or do you agree to some extent that, hey, this movement that came out of, this idea that we should accept all bodies as beautiful can be used by some as an excuse to be lazy?
Yes. So I think maybe where my opinion falls is that I can agree. I think all bodies are beautiful, all people are beautiful. We all have our own, things to offer the world. I think the question for me lies, does that mean that it needs to be shared? And that's a question that I apply to whether it's a big body, a small body, healthy body or otherwise. Do we need to be putting it out there into social media, showing everyone what you've got going on?
But one could argue that, in order to be happy and feel positive about your body, there is no, you just flaunt it, right? It's a good thing to share it to the world and be like, look at me, I'm whatever, I'm round, I'm square, I'm Coca-Cola shaped, I'm, the idea is we need to embrace and celebrate all bodies. And
Yes.
yeah, well, look, this movement has probably again been perpetuated and ramped up due to social media and everything that comes with the superficiality of social media.
Yes.
One of the arguments, I suppose, is that whilst people can agree that all bodies are beautiful, I think where people have a problem with this whole notion is that like bigger bodies shouldn't be celebrated, right? Because they're looking at a health perspective. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, then I think the question becomes, it's two parts. Is that person happy and is that person healthy? So if that person can embrace that that's how they look and, that's their situation and they're happy to rock that and do with it what they will, then I think that that's a really great initiative. But if you are in an unhealthy position and you're then hiding behind that, then that could be a concern. But if it doesn't also bother you, like if you're unhealthy and you're not particularly concerned, then is it anybody else's business to have an opinion on?
Well, that's the thing. Is it anybody's business? But in the world of social media, when every person has a opportunity to share their opinion, and everyone feels like their opinion matters, then you're going to get people that come out and say we shouldn't be celebrating bigger bodies because, in their opinion, armchair warrior, keyboard warrior, that it's unhealthy. And people are saying you shouldn't put bigger bodies on the cover of magazines, for example, because you're encouraging this perception that that bigger body is healthy. Like we should embrace that. And I guess that's where Butterfield is coming from, right? Like, let's not use that excuse to be okay with our bodies if it is unhealthy.
Yeah, I think what's just really, really hard to draw the line on is what makes it unhealthy. Is it just about size? Is it about fitness? Is it about, your stamina? There's so many facets to it because different people can be different sizes, different fitness levels, different lots of things, and look very similar or look very different.
And I think they're just speaking from a physiological sense, like a health sense, as opposed to, hey, you may be spiritually healthy, emotionally healthy and everything else, but I think people that argue it's unhealthy, I think they just, for the most part, it's a very superficial response to something that they see visually. And again, social media does that. We've become very shallow people. When it comes to dating, it's literally swipe left or swipe right, and it doesn't matter. We're purely judging people on their look, right? And that's the unfortunate reality of where we're at the moment. What's the double standard that you see between the body positive movement between men and women? Do you see it's more harsher for women?
Well, I hadn't actually never thought about it. And so to that extent, I'll give him credit because I think he raised a question that a lot of people don't think about. So this actually came up at work, where sometimes things are gendered and we don't even realize that we favor one more than the other. And I think when people think about body positivity, they would automatically think about women, because I know I certainly had never thought about men.
Me neither.
And now so now I'm thinking about it as well, but I don't know. I still feel like there is a difference between men in muscle magazines and action movies compared to the women on these magazines or the women in movies. There is more of a like they're the everyday woman feel compared to like superhero men. You know that they're superhero men, so like not the every man is going to look like that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I don't and I don't have any facts to back this up, but dare I assume that I think the movement originated for women? Like, you know what I mean?
I feel like it did.
That was the target audience in that sense. But I also think that, females get the raw end of the stick when it comes to body positivity, because I don't think it's celebrated for men. I mean, the dad bod was a thing.
Yeah, still is.
It's okay. Yeah, it still is. And I wonder who's started that trend and made that into a thing. But I agree with you. He raised a good point that I didn't think about. But I don't think. Well, let me ask you this: as a female, does it affect you that much? Because when I see Chris Hemsworth, right? He used Chris Hemsworth as Thor as an example, like these buff bods. Like I look at Chris Hemsworth, and I'm like, I don't think, I wish I looked like that.
Yeah.
What
do you think though?
I just think he has a really nice body.
Yeah.
I think he has a nice body. I think he's really fit. But I'm just like, the notion of body positivity is like, women look at that and they crave that. Not the men, but women look at fit women and they crave that and they aspire to be that. I don't think a lot of guys do. Guys just appreciate it, and then you know, I'll just go back to my beer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, guys don't. It doesn't hit home as much. I feel.
Yeah. In that sense, I'm definitely not the right person to have on and have this conversation with. Because I really am not someone who's deeply affected by things like social media and magazines and you know, these perfect cover girl images that we see. Very similar to you, like I can appreciate that this person's fit, or that person's skinny, or that person appears to be happy, which is great for them, but I've never seen anything on a movie or a TV or on paper and thought that I had to look like that. Any issues I've ever had have always been about me. If I'm feeling like I'm unhealthy or I'm not, you know, as fit as I used to be, then that's me compared to me rather than me compared to someone else.
Yeah. So do you think the movement in general has been a good thing? Like this modern movement of body positivity?
Yes, I'm going to say yes, but don't tell Isaac Butterfield.
He's going to come after you.
I'm going to get a reaction
You're his
video
next
out of
target.
this.
He's going to make a rant video on you. Why do you think it's a good thing?
Because I think maybe this is really naive, but positivity about things, maybe, I'm assuming that that's the better side of it, that we're trying to celebrate something more. Now, that's not saying that we have to, or that that's the only way for it to be good, but the whole intention is that we're trying to embrace more. I'm really not getting anywhere.
Do you feel like
the general?
Do you feel like for a long time we lean towards shaming bodies, and you feel like this movement towards body positivity is kind of counteracting that?
Yes, thank you for using my words.
Because I don't. Maybe I've been out of the loop. I've never thought that there was this big thing about shaming bodies, and there had to be this counter movement to counteract that. But I guess it was there. Or maybe people were underrepresented. Maybe certain bodies were underrepresented, right?
Yeah. So maybe the shame was indirect, that if all you're seeing is a certain kind of figure or dimensions, then the shame is knowing that it doesn't exist in the public eye. So if you didn't look like that, then you're maybe putting that shame on yourself of that you wouldn't belong, or that you have no place in the same position as those people, compared to a positivity movement where you're seeing more of it. You should be able to relate to these sort of people in a more accessible way.
Yeah. So going off tangent a little bit, how has social media changed the beauty standards when it comes to males and females?
That's a big tangent.
There's a big tangent. It's completely off the rails again. Well, look, this is what I think, right? Obviously, I think a lot of people would tend to agree that there has been a heightened unrealistic beauty standard. Like they've raised, the beauty standards to the point where it's very unhealthy. You see all these. Have you seen these videos on YouTube or TikTok about with all these Chinese women, and they use the phone apps to just change their face? Like it's like literally augmented reality, right? It's an Instagram filter just changes the colors and everything else, right? But this one changes your whole facial structure, right?
Wow.
And you've seen videos where women contour their face?
Yes.
Yes, right. So these apps rely on those darkened contour lines. So really, these women just draw lines on their face, and the app will pick that up and just beautify their face. So
wow.
Yeah, it's becoming really, really dangerous. And there's this running argument that I constantly have, and people are probably going to really hate me for this, but I feel like when it comes to males and females, it's just this level of fakeness when it comes to females is overblown. I'm just going to put it out there. That's my opinion.
Are you going to use the word, or are we going to avoid it?
What? What's the word? Oh God, use it.
Catfish. Are we going to go there?
100%. 100%.
Yeah, okay, cool.
And it's the safe word. It's unfair. Okay, that's the soft word, but it's downright deceitful, right?
Yes.
It's deception.
Yeah. Okay. So now I've got arguments for you.
Okay, go on.
Now I'm ready to go.
Ooh,
so
yes, we're heating up.
Completely agree. Like there's this level of deception there. There's a level of, it's just disingenuous to present yourself in a type of way that is not a reality. Now, I don't shame those who do it. People who wear makeup or contour or want to use a filter when they take a photo and they want to look a certain way at the time. It's when that becomes your majority. Are you doing it to deceive yourself more than others?
But does it get to a point where you don't even realize you're deceiving yourself?
Yeah.
Right?
That's where it gets really unhealthy.
Unhealthy, dangerous. Yeah, it's like you've literally lost touch of your own reality. Yeah. And
then when it comes to things like a social media page, if all you're looking at is photos of yourself looking a certain way, or if that's all that you're sharing with everyone, you start to tune out of your reality. You're not paying attention in a mirror when you walk past. You're not thinking about what people think when they see you. You think, I'll give you my Instagram handle and you can follow me and look at my pictures and just catch these still images of me looking a certain way that isn't moving.
Yeah. Now, I'm probably going to get so much flack from Kim Kardashian fans, but but you've seen her photos, right?
Yes.
This is obviously my subjective opinion, but she does not look healthy from the waist down. You know what I mean? Yes. Like something, when I say healthy, I mean like it just doesn't look aesthetically pleasing. It just doesn't look right. It doesn't look like it's normal, right?
Yeah.
So, and in that sense, this is when it even gets more dangerous, because you get influencers, people like her, doing these things, warping the perceptions of young, females or maybe even males, who knows, right? And there's this false dichotomy that is created that this is the new beauty standards. Like those people that inject so much stuff and their lips become like Donald Duck. I'm just like, are you happy? You've gone past that threshold now.
Yeah.
and again, that's just my subjective opinion.
Yeah.
But I just wonder, like, do those people look in the mirror and think that's like they look good, like they want more?
I think they do, and I actually think the majority do, and that someone like you is the minority opinion, that it's not natural, or it doesn't come across as like an attainable thing, and therefore it's not aesthetically pleasing. Like, I don't think that's the opinion that many would share. I share it with you, but do you know what I mean? We're in a generation and a society now that doesn't look at things like that. They see it and go, that's the normal, that's what most people have, so it must be what's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't agree.
And the body positivity movement is like, I feel like they're struggling a little bit now with the advancement of like mobile technology and these apps where you can literally just shape your body and warp your body and all this stuff. It's like, well, on one hand, they're saying women should be proud of their bodies and celebrate their bodies in whatever sizes, but then there's these apps that are available, and people are using them to kind of change every single photo that they put out. I think there's something just wrong there, unfortunately.
We're going backwards again. We're
Yeah.
reverting.
Well, that's it. We're going backwards very fast, very quickly.
Yeah. And letting the opinions of others shape our opinions ourselves. So I had a controversial thought when I watched Isaac Butterfield's video.
What was your controversial?
Where does the responsibility fall? So we sit here and we say that, you know, influencers or people on social media have an obligation to think about the impact they have on others, or that, you know, people shouldn't be sharing fake images because it's not right for other people to see. But when are we responsible for looking at that and being personally affected by it? So isn't true body positivity looking at your own body and being happy with what you have and being able to celebrate another person's body without having to be the same, and taking on that I have to look like you, or I have to change and be more like you? When does that end with us and not another person for sharing themselves?
Yeah. And like, who created the body positivity? Like, you know what I mean? If it's something that's so natural, why aren't people naturally celebrating their bodies? Like, someone had to implant the seed that, hey, guess what? You actually should be happy with the body that you have.
It's okay to
Yeah,
feel
it's okay.
good.
Like, yeah, this is the problem with our society at the moment, that everything is not okay until someone says it's okay to be that way.
You're allowed to feel like that.
Yes, you're allowed to feel your emotions, David. It's not true. It's not true. Don't believe it. Don't believe the hype. So, yeah, speaking of catfish, right?
Yes.
We've had this conversation at work where I say it's so deceiving when you go on these dating apps and you just put the best photos of yourself. And I agreed with you. I said, yeah, you should put a photo of you just as you wake up, you at work, you going out, you with, you know, like one of you in each scenario, so people at least get the whole picture, as opposed to the best version of yourself or the fakest version of yourself.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, social media is just full of fakes.
And I know there's a whole conversation in here that I don't want to pick apart, but then it becomes, when that's what you put out, what do you expect in return? So social media in general, if we're putting out only the best versions of ourselves, do we want to have real connection anymore? Like, when we meet somebody face to face, are we perpetuating an insecurity in ourselves? Because you know that you don't look like the version of you on paper that they're expecting. So do you then start to get paranoid about how you have to look? And that's where that pressure comes from. I've always got to have my makeup done. I've always got to be,
Do you think so?
photo ready.
I think people have lost touch though. Like they put that version of themselves and they kind of lose. They just feel like that's them.
But how do those people go through life? Like, every day? Do they always look like that? That's a lot of energy.
But no, in their mind, they think they look like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in their mind, they constantly think like, yeah, that's how I look, and you point that out, and you're like, no, you don't.
No.
Like,
and they get
yes,
upset.
yes. Well, that's it. They get upset. But yeah. Look, when it comes to body positivity, I agree that some lazy people will hijack that narrative to just, you know, not exercise or
Yeah.
whatever. But I think as a whole, I agree with it. It is a positive thing. We should all celebrate bodies. And like, honestly, who cares?
Yeah.
This again,
Like,
this my lack of care. Like, who cares?
do it for you. Like, if you're happy, you feel good, you have energy, you're doing all right, then be
Mm.
happy. Be positive about it, embrace it, whatever.
And dare I say that if you look at other person's body and you are unhappy with yours,
Yes.
then it's not a body issue. Like, maybe there's another deeper insecurity issue that you just need to work on and
Yeah.
need to kind of heal and mend. Like, it's not the body. The body is a manifestation of what it
Yeah.
is that you're feeling.
And that comes back to responsibility then. Is it on the other person that they should have to hide themselves so that you don't feel uncomfortable because you're unhappy in yourself? Like,
Well, that's the other
I,
thing too, isn't it? Like, there was the fat shaming, and then there was that mum who like gave birth, and then she bounced back really quickly, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're setting unrealistic body standards because as a
yeah,
mother of two, no one's bodies bounces back that quickly." But it's like,
it
well,
did.
she did, she did
Yeah.
it. You know, what do you
Yeah.
mean nobody? Her body.
But also, if it is that important to people, obviously speaking without children here, but if it is that important, there are mums out there who prioritize that in those early stages with their kids whenever they can, because their goal is to get back to a certain size or weight or whatever as quickly as possible. Whereas others, accept that their body has changed and it's going to take a long time
Yeah,
to,
just
work with that.
and just be okay with it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's again, social media has made the whole notion of you need to be a certain way by a certain time. Everything's become a competition,
Yes.
and again, God, we go down the rabbit hole once again. It's
Mhm.
pretty much the business is preying on people's insecurities, right?
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that there is even a body positivity movement, because it's like the diet industry relies on people to be unhappy with their body in order to make billions of dollars. So,
Well, yeah.
yeah, I'm impressed that this thing even took off.
Well, that's a dark take on it. Well, did they do it because they know that the majority weren't in the category of how was around before body positivity? If you open the door to be positive with who you are, then you open the door to everyone and you can capitalize on that. Do you know what I mean? Now you can get everybody on board and, sponsoring or doing photos for your clothing line or whatever it is that influencers are doing these days, because there's more population to choose from. So maybe that's where the movement come from.
Oh, it all comes down to greed. It's money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do I get out of this?
We knew there was a hidden agenda amongst all this body positivity movement stuff.
We don't want you to be happy. We just want to be rich about it.
Yeah, exactly. So let me just read a criticism of
Yes.
the body positivity. Is that it's non-inclusive. Depictions of body positivity messages tend to exclude people of color, as well as those who are disabled, LGBTQ, and non-binary. So, I don't know. Is
I have
body
questions.
positivity non-inclusive?
I really don't know enough about this topic.
You chose it, Ashley.
I
know what you
would
mean.
need someone to educate me on how that is happening.
Yep.
To really understand where that opinion is coming from.
Yes.
Maybe it's naive of me. Maybe my privilege is talking here, but I would think that being body positivity and not specific to anything else, that could be applied across all categories. So I'm not seeing the gap.
And it's very shallow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Again, it's just your body. There's so much more to a person. Why are we just focusing on their body?
They lose their substance completely.
Well, yeah, but apparently we are human and we're shallow people.
And we're positive about it.
Yes, well, yeah, and I think it probably came out of the whole self-help movement as well. When people,
Yes.
self-help was a big thing, probably still is a big thing. That trying to get lift everyone up from their miserable lives. Here we go. Another kind of article that I was looking at. The beauty industry will never validate you. When this lady, she was talking to real women in the
Mhm.
beauty industry. What did she say? When I talk to women who are strong supporters of the movement, many of them say that they would like to see what they like to see is representation of real women in the beauty industry. While I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing, I think they aren't realizing that the beauty and fashion industry profits off women and men's insecurities, as harsh as that may sound. You know what? I think men's insecurities are slowly creeping up too.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think it was a thing before, but
Yeah.
with this movement, I think men have been kind of dragged into it. Like I said, I think it was predominantly like a female focused thing.
Well, there you go. Equality has hit body positivity.
Yeah.
Well, give us the male perspective, Dave. Where do you lie on it? Obviously, you say you can appreciate, models and famous people for where they're at, but do you feel any sort of pressure in any type of way on yourself to look or be a certain kind of way?
Not from maybe when I was younger, perhaps.
Okay.
But as you get older, you just don't care as much because your body gives up on you, and you just really have no choice. That's a lie. I'm using here an excuse there. No, but I think a lot of younger guys look at there's this guy on YouTube back in the day. He was Australian as well. His name is Ziz, and he started this
Yeah.
whole revolution of aesthetics. Like really fit guys. You say
Yeah.
yes, you've heard of him, right?
I have.
Yeah. So I think young boys really aspire to look quote unquote shredded to be like this guy because he was going to these rave parties, he was getting the girls, and boys being boys driven by their hormones would
Yeah.
strive to look a certain way. But and that seems to have perpetuated, especially now with
Okay.
social media as well.
Yeah.
Instagram is all about fitness models, right?
Yes.
That's all it's about now. So I can't say how I feel about it now because I'm beyond that. I don't really care anymore.
Okay.
Like I just
Yep.
do it purely for a health thing. I want to
Yep.
be able to run around with my boys and keep up.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I feel like the younger generation of guys would feel the pressure.
Okay. But when you say as well that your younger self felt it, your younger self didn't have as much social media access as well, but still there was an impact.
Well, there was an impact because I think was there social media? There wasn't as much, but the idea, and I don't know where it was implanted from, was that females liked a certain physique type.
Okay.
So, I don't know, maybe that's TV then. I don't know.
Yep.
I can't recall or pinpoint where that idea was implanted into my head. But yeah, that's what it was. It's like, females liked a particular body type, and then men would strive to attain that. Again, driven by our hormones
Okay.
at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, now you see more of those Ken Barbie doll, like extreme makeover type stuff that you never would before. Like Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. Remember that TV show?
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden, we accepted gay guys showing straight guys how to be better looking or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's not a bad thing, but
there's a beauty standard for men now that never really sort of existed.
yeah. And the fact that that show was accepted so readily and celebrated so readily, it speaks to that, yeah, there was a shift at some point.
Mm-hmm. Society was ready to have that conversation and see that you guys need to make more effort than just putting a shirt on and getting a haircut and having the same impact as a girl putting makeup and all of her energy into changing the way that she looks.
Do you females feel that about men? That at one point we just didn't care? And you're happier now, given that men try a bit more?
I wouldn't say in that sense. I would say as a female, sometimes it does like really burn me that all it takes for a guy to go from like looking very average or just looking like his everyday self, and then for say a formal event,
Yes.
something as simple as like a quick shave can really like change how ready he is to go out.
Yeah.
And then for girls, it's like 3 hours curling your hair, doing your makeup,
Yeah.
picking the dress, doing your nails. Do you know what I mean? There's so
Yep.
much more to that beauty standard, and you guys have shaved your sides and put a shirt on, and suddenly there's this whole change on how you get looked at.
But conversely, does it also bother you? Well, maybe not you, or what's the sorry, Ashley, you're going to have to speak
Women
for all
everywhere.
women, yeah, worldwide. That
You picked the worst person to speak on behalf of all women, but challenge accepted.
please, you're going to smash it. Don't worry. Conversely, do you think there comes with it some issues as well? Like maybe females don't want their guy to all of a sudden be so into how they look and how they dress, and you got to have to be immaculate every time they go out, and is that an issue as well?
I don't think so. I think it could be one. I don't think it is quite yet one. But again, then my question comes down to what works for you. Like, if that's your relationship and that's what your partner is doing, were you not having those conversations when you guys got together, or as you've watched that change with them about where's this pressure coming from? Is it coming from me? Is it a part of our relationship, or is it something else beyond that? Because at the end of the day, if the people around you accept you for who you are, does it matter what everybody else expects you to look like?
Yeah. Well, you're right. I guess it's something that if a guy spends more time, looking after pampering themselves than a female, like, I don't know, maybe you'd be worried.
That's a problem for you.
It's yeah, and it's an issue. But again, it makes the person happy. Who cares?
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's the bigger question that doesn't get asked enough, of what's right, what's wrong, what it should and shouldn't be. No one's asking, is that person happy doing what they're doing, or do they feel like they have to? Do they feel pressured to do something, or is it because, you know what, they want to spend that time and effort, that energy, they want to look like that, knowing what it takes for them to get there?
Yeah. It's a losing battle,
and that's
though.
the pace power to you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I just don't have the effort.
Well, with social media, you'll never win. I mean, there's always going to be a new standard.
Yeah.
That's the thing. There's always going to be a new trend, a new standard. And similar with fashion and everything else, like, you'll come full circle, and eventually voluptuous bodies will be celebrated again, and then we'll, do another 180, and who knows where we'll be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think now, though, it's the most extreme that it's ever been.
Yeah.
Right. And have you seen that guy that wants to be an alien?
No.
He literally chopped off his fingers.
Why?
Yeah, he had like implanted these horns. I'll Google
For those
it.
on Spotify who are missing my facial reactions, you're really missing out here.
Yeah, he's
Wow.
he's into body modification.
Okay.
So if you Google, I Googled the most randomest words: devil, alien, cut off people.
Alien cut off people.
And
All
you'll
right, give me a
see
second.
this guy who literally sliced off his nose. So yeah, devil, alien, cut off people. Body modification.
What were you Googling when this came up? Can we
No,
talk
he
about
was
that?
all over the news. He was literally all over the news because it was so, quote unquote, crazy that someone would do this to their body. He literally mutilated his body. Okay, he wants to become the human Satan. Black Alien. His name is Black Alien.
Okay.
From
All
Brazil.
right. That's what I was getting. Okay.
Mikel Farrow, 44-year-old from Brazil. He's modified his body to become the human Satan. He's literally lopped off his nose, put horns on his head, tattooed most of his face and body. Those
Wow.
listening to Spotify, you cannot see this, but if you're watching the video,
Have a quick Google.
have a quick Google of the human Satan from Brazil, 44-year-old. So I think he's gone to the extent where he cut off his hands. Like,
Yes, I'm looking at that now.
yeah. So when I say I think it's become the most extreme it's ever been,
Yeah.
this is what we're talking about. Like, body positivity has become be happy with your body, but if you're not happy with your body, also
Change it.
be happy that you can change it.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's people
That's-
out there like that.
Yeah. Well, then then there's the whole conversation of should we normalize things like plastic surgery, or should we make it more standard that that's something that you do in order to be happy? If that's what you need to feel better, should there be any shame from others when you say, hey, I actually really want to get a nose job? Because I feel like that's still, I know actually a few friends who have said that, and the reaction is kind of like, but why? So is that where that conversation is heading? In order to be positive, you've got to be able to do whatever that means for you.
Well,
And if that means changing, then go ahead.
I think it is normalized. Plastic surgery is very normal these days.
Mm.
Like, you see people. Oh God, well, looking at the image of him lopped off his fingers. Damn, man. And if you see the before picture, he was a good looking dude. He was a good looking Brazilian dude, you know. And I mean, look, I don't want to comment on the guy's psyche and what's happening up there.
There's more happening than
But it begs the question, what is wrong with this guy? Or
what is right with him?
in a deeper issue, why does he want to be this? He's not happy with himself.
Why does he want to be?
He just need a hug, man. Oh, this dude is scary. But see, and not only that, like, there's articles about this guy getting attention, you know, he's a sideshow now, he's getting so many followers and so many likes on social media, and I dare say, I'm just going to put it out there, for all the wrong reasons. Not the right reasons. You know, he could argue, yeah, but I want to turn myself into human Satan. Like, that's how I want to be. You know, you should celebrate that I have a freedom of choice to do that.
You should let me.
Yeah. You should let me lop off my fingers.
Let me do me, and just, you have to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah,
that's scary.
It's I think yeah, like I said, it's normalized it's very normal to go get plastic surgery. It's very normal now to get Botox. I mean, both men and women do it. That's like, that is really normal. Like, literally, you see clinics in shopping centers. That's how normal it is. Literally injecting whatever it was in your face. So it's actually scary to think where we will go in the next 5 to 10 years.
If that's where it started, maybe alien men's just what we're all going to look like in the next 5 or 10.
So
help us all.
Indeed, help us all. Anyway, this is where we've come, guys. So, and I have nothing else to add. I just can't think of anything else to talk about body positivity.
Maybe it's because I don't. Do we understand it? Are we missing something?
No, I think because we're quite secure in, like, I've never had a battle with that.
Yeah,
right?
maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, like, I've always been a fairly big person. Like, even as a kid, I've been a big person. I have to admit, there was a fat shaming episode that really made me change my ways. And that was a shaming incident. That wasn't like I did it for the females or anything like that. Right?
Oh.
I'll tell you. I'll share the story. Okay.
Yes.
I actually made a video on YouTube about this.
I know, I haven't watched it.
Okay. So me and my wife went to the Blue Mountains in New South Wales, and I had a phone in my back pocket. right? And we took a picture, and I sat on this rock. Blue Mountains, there's a lot of rocks.
Nice.
So I sat on a rock, and I totally obliterated the phone. Okay, it was in my back pocket. Okay, no amount of Gorilla Glass would have saved this phone. Like, I totally smashed it, right? So, and I didn't realize until I got home, pulled the phone out of my pocket. I was like, oh crap, I've destroyed this thing. Can't even get the pictures out of it anymore. So that was one incident where I felt, oh, far out. That's like my own personal shame. I was like, oh, really? Okay, well, that's no good. And then the other part was I was crossing the street, again in Blue Mountains. People in the Blue Mountains are horrible, man.
What's happening?
So I was walking to get a Subway across the street.
Oh.
I was trying to be healthy.
Yeah, you're trying to lose weight.
And this guy driving, in my head, I recall it being a ute. So straight away, he's a bogan. No, I'm just joking. Anyone that drives a ute, you're fine. But he yells out, get off the road, you fatty, or something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
And it didn't trigger me, but it was like kind of upsetting at the time because, I was young. I was like 22 or something. I can't remember. But I was young, right? I was like, oh, that's really mean.
Yeah.
And it was that moment that I was just like, okay, well, something's got to give. I think, what did I say? Well, I will say I was shamed into changing, but in a good way, I think it was also the catalyst that I needed.
To make a change.
Yeah. So a lot of people say you shouldn't fat shame people. I don't know where I stand on that, but I can say from personal experience that actually was the catalyst to me, making a better effort.
Well, see, now I need context.
Go on.
You're a naturally big person.
Yes.
Height-wise, size-wise, you're there's a lot of human there.
Yes. A lot to love.
Did you, before these incidents, did you consider yourself fat? Unhealthy?
Unhealthy? Never.
Okay.
Unhealthy. Because I was just like, you go through your life and you don't really think about that.
Okay.
Not until you're older, I suppose. But while you're young, you're going through life, you're going through uni, you're doing your thing, you just don't think you're unhealthy. And to be fair, though, I don't feel like I ever pushed myself to the point where felt like I was dying and then I had the epiphany that I was unhealthy.
Okay.
But I've always been on the chunkier side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I always told people, if I look at a burger, I put on weight. And what's that? CK, I can't remember his name, but he had this joke where he says, I don't stop eating when I'm full. I stop eating when I hate myself.
That's the way to live.
And so I've always been big, but that was the catalyst for me getting into better shape. So fat shaming does work for some people. That's my
real
stance.
Body positivity is fat shaming.
For some.
There you go.
But you need
to. Well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because what you just said just made me think about, for me as well, when I was younger, funnily enough, so this is maybe where society makes us think a little bit backwards. When I was younger, I thought that I was unhealthy. I had this idea in my head that I was fat, I was not healthy, I wasn't how I should have been. And then fast forward me now, being the heaviest I've ever been, probably the unhealthiest I've ever been as well. And I look back at those photos and I think, where on earth was that idea coming from?
Yeah.
And so body positivity, I guess, in a way has been good for me because now I'm accepting where I'm at, acknowledging it for what it is, and knowing that if I want to change it, then that's on me. But again, it's a comparison to my old self, not I look different than others. I got to fix that.
So in hindsight, when you look back, where did that idea come from?
I don't know. Hey, I've got no idea because I remember always thinking back to myself that I was someone that was always on the heavier side as well.
Yeah.
And through school or whatever, compared to not just my friends, just everyone, I always felt like I wasn't that stick skinny or that always just really, really small and tiny kind of girl.
Yeah.
But I don't think I was ever really fat.
Isn't that?
But I didn't know that.
isn't that scary that even then, back then, without social media, like you
Yeah.
had that idea somewhere, you know,
Yeah.
and now with social media,
Yep.
it's compounded that issue. It's actually really scary how it is for like young boys and girls growing up now.
Yeah. Because when all you're looking at is people who aren't putting forward anything remotely raw or real, it's only what they think it needs to be.
Mm.
Do you have any hope? Like
Yeah, no,
to have a
seriously.
natural thought?
Do you have any
Yeah.
hope? Because all you see
I
is
don't think
just
so.
like the best version of a person and or the most fakest, you know. And it's
Yeah.
just so easy to do. It's not even hard to do.
Yeah.
You just download an app,
No.
and all of a sudden you're just like you're freaking gorgeous.
But it's not even that anymore. Like the apps have it in there. So like Instagram, Snapchat, all of that now,
Mm.
you can do half of it in there. You don't have to take the photo, send it elsewhere and touch it up. You can make it happen on the spot. It's that instant gratification that I can make this what I want it to be and
Yeah.
not feel bad about it.
Not even that. I was messing around in Zoom just like before we started this
No.
podcast. There's an option that says, what is it? Touch up my appearance.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. And I put it full bore just to see what I look like. And I pretty
Yeah.
much like you couldn't even see me. I was fuzzy. I was just like that
Okay.
smoothed over my
Wow.
complexion and this is Zoom. This is a business kind of like,
Yeah.
enterprise app that we're talking about. We're not even talking about social media. So
I've got to go to my staff meeting looking buff. Like
yeah, it's pervasive. It's
wow.
every element. You can't escape it. So there you go.
That's yeah.
Scary for kids growing up these days. Sometimes I think like, yeah, we were we're at the cusp. We kind of got to grow up in the era that didn't have it, and then yeah.
Can see it happening.
Well, actually, you're 10 years younger than me, so like, yeah.
I feel like it grew with me too. You know what I mean? I can still see parts of my childhood and my life where it wasn't as big, where it started, and I don't feel as connected to it maybe as someone 10 years younger than me.
Yeah. Right. So let's go even deeper in the rabbit hole.
Okay.
In 5 to 10 years' time, when we live virtually in the metaverse,
Here we go.
you understand the concept of the metaverse? Do I have to explain it to you?
Just briefly for
Okay.
those at home.
Have you seen Ready Player One?
No.
No, okay, you should watch it.
Okay.
Ready Player One, set in a dystopian society in America where people no longer live their lives physically in the real world, or they kind of do, but it's a shitty world. So they
Okay.
live their virtual lives in the metaverse called the Oasis, right?
Okay.
It's a virtual world where you can be anything and be anyone. Yeah, so this is where I think we're headed,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
COVID has perpetuated this, all right?
Cool.
I'm getting ready with my tinfoil hat. You all right? You ready for my
You
conspiracy?
said the buzzword.
Oh no, I didn't I? Okay, this is where we're headed, right? I think Winston Churchill said this perfectly. Do not let a great crisis go to waste. Never let a great crisis go to waste, right?
Okay.
So this is like the world's best social experiment where we can get people to adopt the metaverse quickly,
Yes.
right? We're already doing everything through our apps. We're having meetings through Zoom. We're working virtually through whatever means. We're chatting online. The next step is we're going to go through the metaverse. So at which point people will literally be detached, right?
Yes.
They will literally be detached from their real world selves. Do you think that's where
Human
we
connection is dead in the world of David.
Yeah. Does that scare
Will
you?
you miss it?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. I was worried about you for a second there.
Yeah. You know me. I really like talking to people.
But I
Like,
also can see you thriving.
as much though, I don't think as much. I really do enjoy the human connection when I speak to people face to face, and
Yeah.
I
No, it
think
does make a real difference.
the detachment is it's just really depressing.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's not the same. And even, stuff like this, Zoom calls and face-to-face video apps and messaging, there's still such an element of disconnect to it being physically in the same space as a person. So yeah, there's no version of this, no metaverse out there that I think is ever going to be able to replicate what a face-to-face bond can do.
Yeah. It's like COV has, it's already started that detachment. Like,
yes,
since everyone's been at home and they don't actually see anyone,
yes,
they've let their body slide. Like,
yes,
I've put on weight. Everyone at work's put on weight. Sorry,
I did.
If people from
Dave's
work,
judging us all in the tea room.
You're at work listening to this. Everyone has literally put on weight, right? And partially, sure, the gym is closed, but partially it's also because you don't care. Like you care less now because you don't see anyone. I don't care.
Okay, can I put an argument out there? Because I'm feeling attacked as one of those people in your workplace.
I speak for myself when I say that.
You're the only person in the world who came out of this era bigger in a good way, like bulkier, healthier.
Yeah, but
most of us came out of it fatter.
No, I gained too. I gained as well. Like, yeah, I used to be thinner and then I gained weight. Like everyone gained weight, right? But that's what I'm saying is, I guess the question is, do you think people will essentially, once they get into the metaverse, completely let themselves go? That's it. They won't even care anymore.
Oh, that's a different question.
Because we still live in the physical world, People
people will think twice because they still have to have some kind of human connection.
Yes. But
But just going back to me defending myself.
Okay, sorry. Can I apologize now? Can I just apologize?
Everyone, everywhere.
Apologize to everyone at work.
For me, I don't think it was so much that I didn't care. It was that loss of structure.
Right.
That's where the weight came from for me. Like I just didn't have this, going to sound really sad, that purpose, that drive, you know what I mean? Literally to drag yourself out of bed in the morning and go somewhere and do something. Like on weekends, I would go for road trips, hikes, and, just be out about and moving. When you take that away from people as well, that has an impact on your health. And so now, like, my laziness has kicked in and I'm like, oh, but it's so hard for me to get back to that. So the getting started is stopping me, but that's a separate problem.
Okay, so it was just me that didn't care anymore and just let myself slide. It was, I still had routine.
Okay, see, no, so it wasn't like, oh, no one's looking, I'm going to eat extra food and get fat. It was like, oh, I'm not going anywhere today. I'm just kind of sitting around. And then as it happened, I let that be an excuse for me to be like, oh, what's the point in trying? I can't go anywhere. Like, not my fault.
But that's the subconscious, right? People say that during winter. They're just like, oh, who cares what I look like? I'm going to be covered up in jackets and jumpers anyway.
Right, layers.
Yeah.
The layers make me fat, so I might as well also just be fat.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I meant when I said that. Like, you're not going to go out to see anyone. So, why put that extra effort in? I suppose that's what I was meaning.
There is an element of truth to that.
Yes.
Because did I actively know during COVID and lockdown that I was gaining weight? Yes. But did the pressure to do something about it kick in? No. And that has started as we've come back into the office, the first time I went home and I went back into state, that was kind of like, wow, my family haven't seen me in 12 months. And I know for a fact, I don't look like 2020 me.
Oh, did they make comments?
So that was in my head.
How rude.
Well, no, I kind of prefaced that. Like I was telling people, I was like, hey, I'm coming home and I'm real fat now. Let's not talk about it.
Good on you for like putting it out there and being like, hey, trigger warning.
Changed.
Don't go there.
Yeah, like we don't need to talk about it. I'm aware. Like I don't need you to point it out. Thank you.
I'm sure your friends are nice enough that they wouldn't even point it out anyway. At least you got good people around you.
Oh, there are people that still did, even with a trigger warning. But I got ahead of that real quick.
Yeah. But
that sense of feeling like I had to say something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's a pressure on me to acknowledge it. And if I was not in a lockdown and I was face to face with these people as I got fatter
Mm.
and they watched it happen, would I have noticed the change as much, or would I feel like it had to be addressed? It was being disconnected, then being reconnected, that I was like, oh, hold on, we need to, there's an elephant in the room and it's me.
Oh gosh. So hang on, you said that now that things are getting back to routine, like you feel the impetus to change as well? Did you say?
Yeah. So part of it was being demotivated by like, how do I get out of this anyway, when there was nowhere to go or no gyms, or I couldn't get out of the house. So now it's a guilt kicking in. Like, you could be at the gym today, Ashley, and you're sitting at home or at work.
Right.
Like, you're not doing anything. But it is knowing that I'm seeing people or catching up with people, and if I'm unhappy with it, I don't want to, carry this weight anymore. Every time I'm face to face with someone, that's what I'm thinking twice about.
And that's, I guess, and that's the whole point of the body positivity stuff. Like, if you are unhappy with it, then yes, go make that change. But if you're happy with however your body is, then you're happy and you should embrace it and you should celebrate, and don't let anyone like kind of beat you down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And if you're a bigger person, like, you shouldn't be, look, we're only human, but you don't be affected by those haters that say, oh, but this and that, blah, blah, blah. You can't be truly happy if you're that big. That's the argument that they always have, right? Can you really be truly happy if you're that size? Well, I think people can. Like, like who, like, that's just your own insecurity, right? That's their own insecurity coming out. Like, I know I wouldn't be happy if I was that big. Well, yeah, that's because you're a freaking loser.
You're the problem. Well, if permission to speak candidly here, I think
Permission
I
granted.
might be the most, thank you, the most confident I've ever been, which to me feels like a contradiction, because I also know that I'm the biggest and the heaviest I've ever been.
Oh, wow.
So how do I make sense of that? I'm not sure yet.
Oh, that was my next question.
Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty cool. Well,
I'm hesitating here.
That's great that, you are the most confident you've ever been.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm happy for you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Girl power,
This is an Ashley positivity movement now.
Yes. Well, the last podcast was you having an intervention for me because,
well, you needed it.
Yeah. $50 is $50, people.
Stop saying that.
But, yeah, look, ultimately, I think we're in agreement that no matter what size, as long as you are happy, then who cares, right?
Yeah.
And if you're going to have a heart attack because you're really big, then as long as you have a happy heart attack, who cares?
If you're eating your favorite meal and that's what triggers the blocked arteries, you know what?
You know what?
Eat it.
Eat it. Eat it. Yeah, that's what I say. Yeah, don't let the skinny people shame you. And plus, and you know what? And you know what? There's like, no one shames the anorexic.
Oh. Disgust.
Like, everyone feels pity and sympathy for the person that's going through bulimia and, like an eating disorder.
No, you're right. You're right.
But then when it comes to eating disorder in the reverse, where someone has a thyroid problem that their metabolism is affected, like, straight away you jump to
psychologically, emotionally eats as well.
Yes, exactly. No one feels sorry for those people.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. You're right.
Oh, man, I touched on a really good point there.
I was like, whoa, that's a very bold statement. But then I got there with you.
Yes, yes. So, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, humans, they jump to the, she's so vulgar, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to someone that's emaciated, they're just like, oh, poor girl.
That's sad, yeah.
Yeah, she's probably got, like, she's been bullied or something, like she's suicidal. I don't know. Just, okay, that's a big stretch. A big stretch.
But anyway. Then it's like it gets viewed as a choice when it's that you're bigger or that you're unhealthy. You're choosing to live that life. But if you're skinnier or you're on the more anorexic side of things, that's a sickness rather than you're not doing anything about it.
Yes.
And And that then comes down to, we're body positive, but are we mentally health positive? Are we human positive about what really is driving that person, rather than just us assuming what's making them that way?
Yeah. And those horrible people that just say, well, it's just a lack of willpower. Just put down the burger. It's like, mate, it's not that hard. Like, there's it's not, it's a willpower issue. It's like you said, it's a human issue. It's deeper than that.
So much deeper. And if it was just that, and the question was, if they don't want to, they shouldn't have to, then like that's no one's business. But it's so much bigger than just, no one would do that just for fun. Like, do you know what I mean? No one would
unless you're
themselves
unless you're into mukbangs.
Oh no, please.
Have you ASMR mukbangs?
No. So like, is there a version of people who like are visibly uncomfortable with all of that? Because that's what I fall into.
People love that stuff.
I know that there's people who really, really enjoy it, but I'm putting the argument forward for people who equal parts don't enjoy it, because it makes me really, really just uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, I don't even know where it came from, but it was like a massive thing all of a sudden. And I don't know what came first. Was it the noise, the ASMR,
Yes.
or was it the food?
I think it was the ASMR, because at least I saw the ASMR first, and then I saw mukbang, and it's just too much. It's too far.
Yeah. And then like humans are very simple people, in the sense that you get rewarded and you keep doing it, right? So people pay for your food. There's a reward there. It's a, what's it called? Pavlov's dog, positive reinforcement. Yes, that's right. 100%. And so there you go. There's like, so complex. It's so complex. I think,
and there's always going to be some part of the population that will subscribe to that.
And with the advent of social media, internet, those people are actually coming out of the woodworks more and celebrated more and accepted more.
Yeah.
So there is no stigma attached to that. I'm not saying there should be a stigma attached to that, but I'm saying like it's more prevalent. It will be more prevalent now than ever before.
If you were just trying to sit at like family Sunday lunch and mukbang your heart out, you might be getting some judgmental looks. But when you do it in your own company, record it and share it with people you would have never met otherwise, you will find acceptance more than you would have if you just tried to share your true self with your inner circle.
Yeah, there's this guy I want you to see. Something avocado. Do you know avocado eating YouTube mukbangs?
David, how much time do you spend on a laptop?
Oh, I told you, this is what I do at night. Oh, okay. His name is Avocado. This is actually a very sad story where he was once a vegan, right?
Okay.
Skinny guy, stick thin. Then he kind of went down the rabbit hole and realized the vegan culture was too much, too intense for him. Like it was a cult, right, in his eyes. And so he just gave it up, started eating meat again, started doing mukbangs again. And he's, living life in his penthouse, making millions of dollars a year from these videos, crying his eyes out about how he hates his life now, but became uber rich and uber famous off a disorder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this turned into a sickness then, where he just kept eating and he went from one extreme to the other.
Yes. And it was just, and I guess, the question is, what came first? Was he feeding his, was there something there, insecurity there already that he was then feeding through food?
Yeah.
Like, was he a vegan because of some, insecurity, and he didn't find the answer through that, and then he transitioned to just gorging himself on KFC.
Yeah. And you go from one extreme to the other, trying to heal that little inner child who's been through some things.
Yes. Yeah. And you should watch his video. He's all over the shop, like a
Wow.
roller coaster ride of emotions.
Okay. All right. Done.
Yeah, research for tonight.
Homework set.
But yeah, so there you go. The gambit of body positivity. We've gone from, A to Z of just how crazy
Is it
this
good or
world is.
bad? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mixture. It's good and bad and sad at the same time, right?
We're all It's what you take out of it as well.
Hmm.
If you're not enjoying it, then take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Or I say that, and it's obviously not that easy for everyone.
But just don't lie to yourself,
Yeah.
right? Like, and I know it's hard, but find some time to do some reflection, soul searching, and if you're not happy with yourself, make some changes. Don't fall into the narrative of body positivity just to perpetuate, the unhappiness. But on that positive note, we're gonna end it there. So appreciate everyone for tuning in for the second episode. We are on Spotify. Ashley, you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
Feel free to re-invite yourself. I know you have a fan base out there. Thank you. Shout out to
Waiting for
the boys in good old Melbourne, and Sarah. And we'll see you in the next episode. Good night.
Bye,
Goodbye.
guys.